Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Tech Talk. Today is January 14th. Man, already halfway through the month. Unbelievable. It's been a heck of a start to 2021. I want to say good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. This is a regular Tech Talk that I do on Facebook Live every Tuesday and Thursday. So please, if you haven't tuned in before, please join us. We cover a lot of topics. We talk everything Jeep, and we welcome your questions and comments. Please include more information about your Jeep. I need the year, the model. That'll help a lot. And then anything unique to your vehicle. Today, I've got Jeff Perkins in here, Alex Hoover, and Jamie Pellegrino in here helping me. So, as always, you can ask your questions. Just all you do is type in the comment, and we'll read it back. If you like this information, please follow us on Facebook, and you can also turn on the notifications for the live. So each time we do this, it'll just pop right up on your computer or your phone. And as always, if I don't talk about something or you don't see something you're interested in on our website, please call in. I have 35 live bodies across the street ready to answer the phone. So we got lots of people. Everybody's a Jeep guy or gal, and we're ready to take your calls. So please call in. All right. Today we are going to talk about tools and trail fixes. Okay. So we got a lot to go over, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of questions. I'm going to skip by the next slide because we're just going to kind of incorporate in the products as we go. Whoops, got the remote upside down. That doesn't help. Come on. All right, and we were going to show you how to plug a tire. Many of you have not ever plugged a tire. I found my tire plugs, but I could not find my tire plugger. So we've got a tire over here, all set and ready to plug. So we're going to have to do that on another show. So we'll save that for another time. Sorry about that. Apparently, I've got something missing out of my tool bag. I loaned it out, and it never came back. Any questions on plugging a tire? Meantime, and Jeff, anybody notable that we need to say hello to?
We have tons of notable.
Yeah.
We have tons of notable people.
Okay.
Cord Killinger,
Nice.
Kelly Sims, Patrick Vaughn, John Beard, Kate Atkinson, Mitch
Nice.
Moore, Terry Mode.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I appreciate that. I know several of you already know about all this stuff, but please share this with your other Facebook friends or invite them over to watch this because I know that most people I go out on the trail with are lacking all of this. So this will be good stuff for sure. Any questions so far? Or we're okay?
No questions. Deborah Carnell said she received her hat from the Christmas giveaway, and she's
Oh, excellent. I got another message from somebody else that got their stuff today, so I'm glad to see people are starting to receive that. Sorry it took so long. We were buried when we got back, and finally our shipping department got to getting all that stuff out. By the way, if you know me at all, it's kind of funny that we can't find my tire plug kit because I don't plug a tire. I just go faster and drive all the way back on a flat. So Jeff was already getting a kick out of that. So internally, that was kind of a funny joke.
How fast do you have to be going?
85 miles an hour for it to reinflate. And you'll never feel the rim hit the ground. So good stuff. And I've been known to do that many times and come back on the rim only.
We have to give a shout out to Tommy Dykstra. He said, "I'm not notable, Jeff Perkins," with a sad face. So, hi, Tommy. You are very notable.
Yes, he is. Is he asking if he's notable to drive on a flat? He has driven. He drove all the way down Sledgehammer on a flat.
Oh.
So, yeah. And it was so bad it wasn't pluggable. I can tell you that.
We have one question already from our friend Jeremy Duper. When do you change out your fire extinguisher?
So there is a gauge on here that'll tell you whether it's still good or not. These can be recharged too, by the way. We've got a company that comes around to our business and recharges all of our fire extinguishers. By the way, it's a good idea to shake these up or knock them with a rubber mallet. All of the powder seems to settle inside here, so you do want to make sure that it is kind of tuned up and ready to go. Fortunately, this one sits on my Jeep like this and it gets bounced around a lot, so I'm pretty sure it's well shaken up. I was warned that the pin has gone out of this, so if I squeeze the handle, we're going to get a shower here. So Tony, don't squeeze the handle. But great question. Typically, I know I only keep these things for 3 or 4 years and I just replace them. So another good question. By the way, back to the tire plug thing, and this is good because we had this trouble when Tommy and I were out there. Was sure we had a plug kit, but we didn't have air. So we've got one of our power tanks, and I know we've talked a little bit about this in past lives, but you need to have, this one comes with a really nice carrying case and a hose carrier and everything. If you've never seen one of these, they come in many different sizes. I think this is like what I would describe as the medium size. I'm sorry, I don't know how many pound it is or anything. Maybe if somebody from Power Tank's on there, they can chime in. Super handy. This will run power tools. This will run air up tires. You know, it's great for a lot of those things. You know, the other thing I like about it is I can carry it over to somebody else who's broken. So I just give it to them and like, see ya, I've done my part. So yeah. Anyways, make sure you got air. Even though you have tire plugs, you still got to have air. All right. Moving on. Tow straps. So it is not enough to carry one of these straps. And by the way, your strap better not have any metal hooks on the end, okay? It needs to have just regular looped over nylon. This has some reinforcements on it. I carry this one, so it's a 30-foot, a 20-foot. I also carry a 10-foot, which is over on that Jeep over there, and I carry, where did it go? Where's my other big bag? Is it over there on the bench? Oh no, it's over here. I carry a shorter one right here, this little guy, you know, which is just good to wrap around somebody's cage or a small tree or something like that where you're not having to deal. Now this is a super heavy duty one from Factor 55, and it also has those, you know, ends on it. So, you know, you really want a variety of sizes with you because you never know what you're going to have to get out. And, you know, sometimes I'm daisy chaining all these things together to get whatever we need, okay? Because we've had situations where the 30-foot isn't even big enough to get around the rock. We've got a winch too. So you got to daisy chain something together. Yes?
Jim Farmer would like to know where you have to go to get your power tank refilled.
We go to a company called Airgas. We're here in California, but basically any welding supply has the ability to fill that. So, and I know there are some other places, air conditioning places. Oh, Richard brought over the plug kit.
Plug kit.
So maybe we are gonna. Richard, would you set that up for me, and that way it's just ready to plug. So if you haven't seen one, this is a plug kit. And it comes with a bunch of the plugs itself. There's a tool to ream out the hole to make sure it's big enough to fit a plug. And then this is the little plug installation tool. So Richard's going to get one of these going for me. Is that the spot? Yep, that's the spot. All right, so he'll get that all going. Awesome. I appreciate the helper today. He must have been watching and known we needed that. All right. We're still on tow straps. In addition to tow straps, I want you to carry a ratchet strap of some kind, anything from like this size to like a full car tie down. Okay, you need something big that if something separates on your Jeep, you can ratchet it back together. You can, in lieu of this, a come along is fine. Okay, but come alongs are heavy compared to this. The other thing you need are a bunch of the soft shackles, and I believe I've got one down here. And I also carry some extra winch rope. And I carry the tool from Factor 55 to splice this in to my winch rope that I have. So I guess the rest of my, he's gonna yank it off there for me because my soft shackle's over on a setup that I'm gonna show you in just a minute. So, and then a D-ring is also, one of your common things. So a soft shackle, if you haven't seen it, it's this deal, and you just open up this eye, you slip this through, and then it locks down, and this is super heavy duty. We winch up backdoor and other big trail obstacles with this. So, and I believe this is a Factor 55 one. So apparently Factor 55 really took care of us last year at KOH. So you'll want a soft shackle. And here's why. I'm going to show you why right now. So Alex, maybe you can zoom in on this. Many, many times what happens is somebody breaks their steering, whether it's a drag link or the pitman arm or the sector shaft or blows the whole box, whatever. You can, by being creative like this, you can actually tow a Jeep out like a little wagon. So what we do is we wrap one end of the strap over itself and yank it right next to the knuckle. On the other side, we throw the D-ring around there. And then in the middle, you wrap it several times to make sure that that soft shackle won't slide on the strap. It has to stay in the middle. And then you can literally tow that guy like a little wagon. Okay, now if his tires are aired down, you're gonna pull out your power tank, you're gonna air up his tires, you're gonna make that vehicle as easy to roll as possible. This is a super, super common, I see people out there that are just bewildered, they're ready to spend the night, they don't know what to do. Oh my God, you might as well call the National Guard. This is a super easy thing. And you can't just tow it from the bumper, right? You have to do it from the steering so that the Jeep will follow along. So just keep that in mind. Again, I've towed many vehicles out of the Rubicon and out of the desert just like this. So any questions on this, Jeff? We've had no questions so far. Is your screen on?
Screen's on.
Okay. All right, so it looks like Richard's got our tire plug set up, so we're gonna do that real quick.
Something else you might want to talk about is all the stuff in the kit. And this is all the stuff that I carry.
That you carry. So Richard carries extra valve stems. He carries a valve stem tool. Can you see all this stuff, Alex? So this little valve stem tool is pretty cool because it'll not only remove the valve stem, but it'll chase the threads. It's got a few different things on it that'll keep you out of trouble. But a complete valve stem. He's got a wire brush in here, and usually there's some cement too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
Extra valve stem.
Oh, extra valve. So this is a common thing too. I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, but if you ever pull the valve stem out, I don't know if you've ever had it just take off because of the air pressure. Well, you might want to carry a few extras and some caps and stuff, good things to have. He's got about 10 of them in here. That's a good supply. I know who to go to when mine's gone. All right, and then he's got a whole bunch of plugs. Sometimes it takes more than one plug. Sometimes it takes more than 10 plugs, depending on how bad you've roasted your tire. You may need it. Okay, so we've got this tool that looks kind of like a little file, and that is to break through the cords on the tire, make sure that it's open enough for us to get the plug. So he's pre-threaded the plug and gooped it up for me. And these are the good ones. The orange ones are the good ones. And you just push this down into the tire. And what you want to do is you want to be careful not to go too far because you can shove this all the way into the tire. You want to leave the little tails out. Come on, baby. If I can do this without making a mistake. Normally there would be a little bit of air in here. And then we're going to pull this back out, okay? So I left about a 1/2 inch up of each tail. Hopefully Alex can see that. And a lot of the time I'll just leave this. You can trim them. It's totally up to you. Yeah, extra traction. Sometimes if we've got them in the sidewall, we call it Rasta because it looks like one of those guys with the Rastafarian hair, especially if you've got a bunch of them in there. And by the way, these are great. We have driven for a lot of miles like this, so nothing wrong with that. But, you know, you may have heard people talk about tire plugs. That's it. That's all it takes. And, you know, if you catch it early enough, maybe you haven't lost that much air, but if you've lost a lot of air, then you need some kind of air source. So either a compressor or a power tank. Okay? Questions? Oh, sorry.
Isn't there some trick where you can do the hairspray? Like
Oh, well, that's advanced.
Yes.
That's advanced.
Any thoughts on the Colby emergency valve stem kits?
Oh, I like that. I talked about that maybe 10 Tech Talks ago. Those are great. If you can get one, pick it up, keep it. You know, that way, if you rip out a valve stem, these have to be put in from the inside, okay? So the Colby ones can be put in from the outside. It's a temporary fix, but it'll get you off the trail. And, or, you know, if you're on a long trail trip, it'll last for a little while.
Okay. Another one is, what brand scissor jack do you carry?
Oh, I would have to look at that. It's out in the Jeep, so maybe at some point somebody can go eyeball that. Or I can put it on, I can go afterward and check it.
Okay.
Jamie's going to check it.
Gotcha. And also, how long will the plug last until it needs to be professionally plugged?
Well, so a professional plug would be where they dismount the tire like this, they go inside and they actually put a patch that's then vulcanized from the inside. That is the best. Okay, no doubt, this is a temporary fix. So if my tire had this much tread, I don't know if they can see how much tread this has, Alex. This is basically a new tire, right? I would go get this professionally patched from the inside. If this was wasted and I was on borrowed time, man, I'd put the plugs in and I wouldn't even think about it and I'd run it until the thing destroyed. So, all right. Good question though. Husky Towing Products is the brand. Now, we've modified it. We put on some plates on the top to grab the axle, and I welded a nut that's the exact same size as my lug nut. So when I've got my impact gun with the socket on it, it'll take off my lugs and it'll run the jack all with one socket. So that's how we do that. Yep.
Terry White would like to know if you have any thoughts on the airbag lifts.
Actually, I've been curious about those. I'd like to try one myself. We've talked about them in the race car. You know, the nice part is they store really small and they're light. So, and you know, I mean, I've seen the fire department and stuff use them, but I haven't had any personal experience, but they look cool, so.
Those are so low.
Yeah.
So high.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. You know, the reason I've always carried a bottle jack or now that fast scissor jack is typically it's just a flat tire, right? So I just shove it under, and the scissor jack, you know, comes down to this big, right? The bottle jack was like this big. So, you know, gotta keep in mind, this is in the dirt, right? You know, now you only got like that much space to the bottom of the axle tube, so you gotta have something that'll fit under there and get it jacked up.
John Miller said, for those who don't know, can you show the up-close quality of the PRP bag?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I carry a whole series of these bags from PRP, and they make them in this like generic size, and it's got these sewn on side things, a nice zipper, and I stuff these things, man. You'd be amazed at all the stuff I have in here. I got a couple things of oil and brake fluid, and I've got brake lines, I've got a tarp in this one, and some lights, you know, because if you got to get underneath your Jeep and work, you wear the little headlight. I've got an extra microphone to run my race radio, so if my headsets stop working or my push-to-talks. So that's what's in that one. You're going to love what's in this one. This one, I've got, you know, some duct tape, and I've taped on my thin cutoff wheels for my battery-powered saw. I've got a full power steering pump with a pulley on it that I know fits my Jeep, ready to go in this bag. I've also got a spare front locking hub. It's all wrapped up. I'm not going to unwrap that for you. I've got spare radiator caps. Oh, look, there's my tire plug kit, still brand new in the thing. I carry an extra spare throttle cable. So this is unique to my vehicle. So if I'm in the middle of nowhere, I can't just go to an auto parts store and get it. Yep, radiator cap, some heavy duty clamps. I've got some brake lines in here. I've got more brake lines, and I have, rollers, right? Idlers. These are important. When these go out, it's usually at a very inopportune time. So you want to make sure that you carry an extra one for your vehicle. Don't forget about the tensioner too. So these are important things that can really put a damper on your trip if they go south. So make sure you have spares of that. So what I usually do is before a big trip or, at the beginning of the season, I put brand new stuff on. These things are cheap. I take the one that I just took off and I put it in my bag. I know it fits, it still works. I put the new one on and I'm good to go. So that way you have all the right spares. And these PRP bags are great because what I do is once they're all zipped up and ready to go, these fit like above the fender wells, it's a nice size, or down by the foot well, and they're thick, well made, like John said. So yeah, good stuff. All right, what else we got?
This is from Davin Rogers. He's always wondered where the name GenRight comes from.
Oh, great question. Man, that's almost like a setup. It stands for Genuine Ideas Engineered Right. So it's always been, for me, when I first started the company, I came out with the gas tank, and I did it just for myself. I put in a big Dana 60 rear end, backed out the driveway, and bam, that gas tank and diff cover collided, and I was like, wow, nobody ever thought of this? Like, what the hell? So I've always been in manufacturing. I just switched gears and made my own tank and skid plate. And from that day forward, I told myself, I am going to make badass stuff for Jeeps. Jeeps only, it's all I care about. And I'm going to make them to where people don't even realize they need them, right? I want to think about it before you even realize that it's something you actually need for your Jeep. And that's all I've done this whole time. When you look at all the products we've been coming out with, that's the premise that they're all done under. So everything from, our gas tank access plate where you can get to your fuel pump without having to drop the tank, to one of our dashes or something else like that. So, yep, great question. All right, what else we got? There's too much stuff here. What do you got?
No more questions.
No more. Okay. So get creative, when you need to. That's a great way to go. We're going to get into tools and stuff just a second here. There's how I wrap that soft shackle around there so it'll bite, and the harder you pull, the more it bites. So that's a great way to go. Brake lines. All right. Stock caliper. If you've never been under your Jeep, I need you to get under there. If you're going to go off-road, I need you to get under there. Your factory brake line looks something like this. To call it a pile of junk would be an understatement, okay? So it's rubber, it's probably cracked. Again, you've probably never even looked at it. My point here is, this is very specific. You don't just go to the auto parts store and get another one of these off the shelf, okay? And by the way, the ones in the front and the rear are totally different, okay? So, like I said before, at the beginning of the season, go get a new one or a new pair. Make sure they're fresh, right? This is your brake system. Put the old one in a plastic bag and stick it in your toolbox that you carry in your Jeep. Very important, okay? So those pulleys, the spare pump, belts, all that stuff, you need to carry them in your Jeep, okay? And the reason I say that is you can't rely on somebody else. This is not like going, hey, do you have a lug wrench? Or hey, do you have a jack I can borrow? My brake line is not going to fit your Jeep, okay? And that's very rare that somebody would have one that would fit your Jeep. So make sure you've got brake lines. Now, that said, I've got a little thing hiding under here. There are adapters. So they make this cool little banjo adapter that goes on here, right? And you put this banjo bolt inside here. That's what it's called. I'm not just making that up. And then you can adapt it to a cool braided kind of line with AN fittings. So, but do this before your trip, okay? Don't wait. Don't just carry this in your bag because you're going to need other connection fittings to make it all work. So this is just a good tip. And you can also see that this metal coating on here, what they call braided steel, is a lot tougher than the rubber and it's smaller, so it's less likely to get grabbed. So those are my tips on brake lines. Yep.
Esther Newcomb would like to know, how do you decide what to take in your recovery gear so you don't take the kitchen sink?
So everything I'm covering today just came out of my Jeep. Okay, so this is the bare minimum. Now, once you're on 35 spline axles and you're on, the good stuff, you don't need to carry any of that. You don't need to carry spare U-joints. You don't need to carry any of that stuff. You do need a spare drive shaft. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the most part, what you're after is the real delicate stuff or the stuff that's likely to get damaged by rubbing it on something or getting caught on something or overheating on something. Those are the things you really got to focus on. And anything that is 100% unique to your vehicle. So if you've put in some weird ass motor because you thought it was cool, well, you better carry everything for that thing because nobody, not even the auto parts store, is going to have any parts for that. So just, that's part of the reason why all the decisions you make trickle down to, something that's going to bite you at some point, okay? So when you choose a good aftermarket axle, those guys are choosing regular bearings that are heavy duty. So, like on the pinion, they'll run 2 of the big pinion bearings instead of the small one and the big one, but it's all regular stuff that you can get. So real important. What else you got?
This one's a little off topic.
Yep.
Okay. Eddie Castro says, what do you guys recommend to put under the chassis to keep it from rusting? I live in NYC. I'm scared of the salt.
Oh.
He also said he's new to Jeeps and he came here to learn, so he came to the right spot.
Okay, so I can tell you that Shane told me if that Jeep got driven with the salt, it went and got power washed right away. That stuff will eat everything, and it's something about it. I don't know. We drove through it on our way to Moab once, and it just made everything look like it was 60 years old underneath the vehicle. So yeah, you definitely want to get that off as fast as you can. Because here in California, we're spoiled, man. That stuff will look like brand new forever. So
we had about 4 people chime in that said, move west.
Move west. Well, yeah, not everybody can live out here, sorry. Okay, more questions or keep moving?
That's it for now.
Okay. And on the brake line topic, you better have brake fluid with you, okay? Because if you break a line, it's gonna need more fluid. All right. Tool bags. So we just mentioned so I carry a tool bag specific. I don't know, Alex, if you can just pan down here so I can. This is my main tool bag, okay? This has all my sockets. This has my pliers, some rags. It's got my C-clip, special pliers and stuff. Like, it's really loaded with all the tools. This is my wrench set. So they call this a wrench roll. This has inch and metric in it. So you literally just roll this out and you got every wrench. And by the way, these are ratchety wrenches. Don't get regular ones, get the good ones. Then I showed you this bag already, power steering pump and stuff. This is my odds and ends bag, right? So this has little hardware. It's got extra fuses and relays. It's got, what else? This is like an electrical kit. Obviously, it's got some funnels. I've got extra wire, grease, an absorbent pad, silicone, These are pretty cool too. Hose repair kit. So this comes in a few different sizes. You can get them at any auto parts store. They come with the hose clamps and everything. So if you get a leak in a hose, you just slice it, you shove this in between, you put 2 hose clamps on, you're done. So you should definitely be carrying one of these, and it just fits together and shoves in your bag. What else have I got in here? I've also got a jiggler siphon right here. So here's my jiggler siphon. You just stick that in the tank, you jiggle it, and it'll automatically prime and start flowing fuel. I carry one big crescent and let's see, a test light, a meter, a little piece of chain with a couple of D-rings that I can strap up an axle or kind of hold something back together that's come apart. I carry the manual version of a power tool so that if that's dead, I can still get my lugs off. Keep the lug wrench that I need right on the extension, everything ready to go. Super important. That's my main bag. I also keep a smaller bag that's easier access that has things like, you know, cutoff pliers. Here's my Factor 55 thing that can resplice my synthetic line. I keep a screwdriver that's reversible so I can go flat or Phillips. I've got some of that special fix-it emergency tape and, you know, some pliers and pens and, you know, just general stuff. I usually keep my, my flashlight in there too. This is a magnetic base, so I can stick it wherever I need it. Those are super handy. I carry a pocket knife, an emergency blanket. If you've ever seen these, they're inexpensive at you know, Big 5 or one of the backpacking stores. Doubles as a raincoat and all kinds of things if you really need it. Of course, gloves. You know, so if you've got to tow a winch line or get real dirty or deal with something hot, you want the gloves. Question?
Yeah, Terry Mode wants to know if you carry a pipe wrench. He says he carries a cheap aluminum one for control arms.
That's a good idea. It actually, I don't, but that is a good idea. I just deal with my big crescent and I made sure that fits my jam nuts on there.
And some guy named Richard Garrett says, I don't carry all that stuff because you do.
So if you don't know who that is, he and I wheel together all the time. So yeah, between us, we pretty much have everything. So that's a good point.
That's actually a good point when you go on long trips.
Yeah.
Divide the load up
Yes.
between vehicles, between
Yeah.
the people, and you carry less weight that way.
Yeah, and that's, again, where it's really important that you carry everything that is specific for your vehicle, you know, because I can't count on Richard to have my special little blah, 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 you know, like I know my lugs are a different size than yours, right? Not that we wouldn't have that same socket, but you've got to be sure. So, and by the way, if you have the security lugs on your vehicle, you probably want to get rid of those because when you go off-road, that just turns into a nightmare. So, what else you got?
Rick would like to know if you carry JB Weld.
I do. Absolutely
Oh,
carry
does
JB
he?
Weld. Yeah. That is one of those important things. And I don't just carry RTV, I carry 100% silicone. So that's different than RTV. So you'll definitely want to check that out. Yeah, I love JB Weld. So I JB Weld on the C's, these little clips inside my drive shafts. So this is obviously not my drive shaft. I wouldn't have something this short. But yeah, all these little clips, I JB Weld those in. It might be Jeff sold one. Sorry. Any other questions?
John Miller says, so I hear you lend out mechanics at events. Is this true?
Well, it happens, right? It's just the way it is. We do what we got to do to keep wheeling. All right, so I think we've covered everything in the tool bags. Fluids, right? Which might be the next. Power tools is the next. Okay, so I carry, this is the big DeWalt. This, you know, my lug nuts go to 150 pounds. This will easily break those. This is a good all-around tool. What I do is I carry an adapter down to 3/8. So if I need to work on smaller stuff, that allows me to do that. And this is a good all-around tool for that stuff. I also have a DeWalt angle grinder that runs on this same battery. And I usually have that for a big trip, like if I'm going on the Rubicon or something, I'll take that. If we're just going out to Johnson Valley, I don't bother. So, yep.
Dave Cundy would like to know if you carry Flex Seal tape.
That's the, I just showed it a minute ago. It's
Jamie's going to carry it in Growler,
this,
that's
this
for sure.
stuff? Oh, so Flex Seal is a different brand, but yes, I don't know if I have any of that in here now, but I do have some somewhere. Yeah, might be in the RV. So the actual Flex Seal brand. I got the spray, I got the tape, I got all kinds of stuff. So
Runs in the family.
yeah. Prepared for anything. Okay. Other than that, Richard, can you think of any other power tools that somebody should bring along?
Grinder.
The grinder, I mentioned that, the angle grinder. I've got the DeWalt one.
Drill.
A drill, maybe. Yeah. So depending on
Where you're going and what you're doing.
yeah, where you're going, what you're doing, how broken or kind of baling wire and duct tape together your vehicle is, you might need a drill.
Why'd you look at me?
No, I wasn't looking at
Eddie would like to know where the best place to carry your jack is.
So I make a point to carry my jack as low as I can. I find the lowest point in the vehicle, if that's down on a floorboard or under something or wherever. I take my jack there, I put my spare drive shaft there, I put my tool bags, like I get everything as low as I can. And you just gotta find that spot on your vehicle. If somebody has it on the hood or on the back, don't wheel with them. They're trouble.
Okay. Jason Fisher wants to know, do you carry full metric and SAE wrench sets for day or two trips?
So my tool bag is set to have exactly every tool and only every tool I need for my Jeep. So if I don't use say for instance, there's a 7/16, ½ inch, 9/16, 5/8, 11/16. Like if I don't use one or any of those on my Jeep, it is not in my bag. Okay, I don't carry tools just to carry them. So I carry exactly, and when I work on my Jeep, I use these tools to work on it. That way I know I have everything I need. So whether it's special snap ring pliers or a tiny screwdriver or whatever it is, I make sure those are in these bags. Great question.
JD McGinnis would like to know if you carry a Sawzall.
I have one. I have a DeWalt battery powered one. I keep it in my RV, so it's typically in my tow vehicle, but I don't carry it in the Jeep itself. And by the way, I'm also one of those guys that's known for, like, somebody breaks a steering box, I run back, get the steering box, come back. Somebody gets a flat, I run back, get, whatever. I'm typically the guy that runs back to camp, gets something, and brings it back. So, yeah.
Casey wants to know, have you used any of the new hydraulic jacks that are replacing the high lift jacks? What are your thoughts on those jacks?
So Tommy Dykstra has, can't even remember what brand it is, if it's ARB but it's like that new style. It seems to work pretty good. It seemed stable. It seemed quick. It seemed like the action was light. It wasn't like they were like leaning on it. And it's definitely not sketchy like a high lift, I'll tell you that. So, they look nice, but you're spending some coin for those things. So you can buy a lot of the kind of jacks I have for that price. Honestly, what I recommend, if you can find it, is a 2-stage bottle jack. That's really what you want, where it comes low and then it's got one main stage and then a second stage will come up. And then typically they have another little Acme thread thing that'll come up, and that's by far the best. And that's not gonna be necessarily cheap, but you're gonna get a lot of use out of that, so, okay.
Chase just received our full JLU wrap, fenders, bumpers, everything.
Nice.
He wants to know if there's any tips or tricks for installing them to make it faster.
Oh, well, Yeah, I would call, but I was going to be a smart mouth and basically say, drink some beer and time will pass faster. Jeff likes that idea. So here's what I would do, and this is dead honest. Start on the passenger side, because you're going to make mistakes, and when you screw up, when you go to your Jeep every day, you don't got to look at them, because you're going to the driver's side.
That's actually in some of the instructions.
That is very insightful, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I can't tell you how many times I started on the driver's side and I'm like, oh my God, I screwed this up, and now the passenger side's perfect, and I got to look at it every day.
Although
Don't do that.
somebody did recommend a riv nut tool.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but
No, I like the ones we provide.
I know, and people, but whatever, some people look for excuses to buy tools. Great, knock yourself out. So, all right, what else we got?
You just kind of touched on this, but have you tried the new hydraulic ARB jack?
Yeah, that's the one that Tommy's got. I think it's the ARB brand. I don't know. Maybe he's on there and can chime in, but it works good.
AGM makes one too.
AGM makes one. That's the one Jordan has. Yeah. But that's the one you run with the Impact.
Yeah.
So there are a couple different types out there for sure. And yeah, that scissor jack I have, man, I got to tell you, that thing kicks butt. That's the fastest thing. So I don't know. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Anything else on power tools? Anybody? No? Okay,
Nope.
we're gonna move on. Drive shafts. Okay, so guys, what I tried to do was break down today's tech talk on the most common problems we see out on the trail, right? Flat tires, broken steering, and broken steering is tie rod drag link, knuckle, steering box, pitman arm, sector shaft, hoses, steering's like a giant category. And by the way, it is your Achilles heel. So if you're not paying attention to that, you need to be. Forget all that other stuff. I know there's the whole lights before lockers and just junk all that. If you're listening to those people, you're listening to the wrong thing. So you need to pay attention and stick to all this stuff we're talking about today. Drive shafts. If you have a double cardan drive shaft like this, what they call a CV on here, you need to lube this, okay? Minimum once a year. Now, the other thing that I recommend is that you actually drop this thing down. You can see how it articulates around, but you want to feel this. Like, you actually want to feel, is there any slop in this? Believe it or not, this little guy can get clapped out, and because it runs at such a high angle all the time, you don't notice it. And when it bites you is when you're on the trail in low range, bound up against some rock, and the thing just shatters, okay? So, what you need to do is not only do you need to carry a spare drive shaft, but you better have a yoke for either side, transfer case and axle side, okay? And all the bolts, everything to mount it. Because when that goes sideways, it's going to destroy everything, okay? Now, your front drive shaft is a bit more protected. If you get into that, sorry, but you kind of get what you deserve, right? The rear is the vulnerable one, and this will keep you from continuing your trip, okay? You must have rear-wheel drive, all right? I'm telling you, don't go without one. And again, just like I talked about the pulleys and stuff, buy a brand new one, take your existing one out, put the new one in, keep that one, and even if you leave it in your tow rig or back at camp or wherever in somebody else's vehicle, make sure it's on the trip with you. You gotta have that, even if it's a few hour delay to go get it or walk back out or whatever, at least you're not totally stuck, because if you don't bring a spare, it's 99% that somebody else's drive shaft will not fit your vehicle. So just keep that in mind.
Sean wants to know what the tonnage is on the bottle jack.
I would go with, what's our big one we have, James? Is that a 20 ton?
For the gooseneck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 20.
Yeah, so you don't need that big. Like, I wouldn't go over 10, but I think I had a small one that was like 2. So 2 to 10 is probably what you need. Yeah.
What drive shaft would you recommend for an 05 LJ?
Call J.E. Reel. That's the guy. You just give him the length, and what the length that he wants is on your yoke, which is basically the center of this U-joint to this mounting surface here. That's the length that he wants, and you give him that, and he'll be able to tell you the rest of what you need and get you set up. And he'll build you a nice heavy-duty one with good parts, and that will never let you down. Still doesn't mean you can't lube it up once a year. You got to do that. Okay. What else we got? We're good?
Yep.
Okay. We are going to move on. Fluids. Make sure you have enough, right? What I want you to think about is, if my power steering line breaks, how many quarts do I need? If I lose a brake line, how much do I need? You need at least this much for a brake line, okay? You should always have a quart or two of engine oil, okay? Always a quart or two of transmission oil, always a quart or two of gear oil. You should have some antifreeze and power steering fluid. Those are your fluids that you need to carry in your Jeep, and you'll find those in my Jeep. Where did it go? Right here. So I have these PRP door bags, and these things are massive. Like when you zip this open, whoops, the other way. These are, you can literally slip quarts of oil right in this thing. Look at that, just holds it, no problem, like it's not even there. So I load up these door bags with my fluids, and the reason I do that is because when my friends are on the trail and they come around going, hey Tony, I'm like, in the door, zip open the bag, look yourself, like it's a self-service deal. So yeah, super easy. We make these for some of the models, but it's a great way to get you extra storage over and above all these bags. Okay, what else you got?
Off topic, but Rory says HD steering is his next project. Tips or pointers and direction to go. 2015 Rubicon.
2015 Rubicon. Well, the best you can buy is the house steering. No doubt about that. That's a much larger project to install. I'm running the AGR on Terremoto, which is the same thing he's got, and I've been real happy with that. I know a lot of people like the PSC stuff. The other option, I don't know what axle this guy has into that stuff, but would be their big box. So if you haven't watched this program before, I am not a fan of people who put that clamp on the tie rod with their ram assist on there. If you're gonna be that guy, don't do it. Buy the PSC big box and just go that route, okay? So unless you're gonna go full on the way we do it, just buy the big box and be done, okay? By the way, but let's touch on steering for a second. Go to the auto parts store or the dealer and buy yourself the high pressure side steering hose, okay? This right here is gonna be your Achilles tendon. You blow this and there is no tape you're gonna wrap on this to make it work, okay? This must work. And this rubs through, there's all kinds of issues, and you can see all these special bends. You're not gonna finagle something to make this work, okay? This fits underneath your radiator and around all kinds of crazy stuff. Go buy a spare. It's probably 50, 60 bucks even from the dealer, and it'll be money well spent, okay? So don't make that mistake. I don't even feel sorry for people on the trail that blow this and don't have a spare, because this is something unique to your vehicle, okay? We didn't cover it, but I'm gonna do it on that same thing, a spare belt, okay? This is called a serpentine belt. You've got one on your vehicle. Go get a spare. Again, put the new one on, take the old one, keep it as a spare. The reason I say that is I see a lot of people buy a spare belt. Oh, guess what? It doesn't fit. The guy at the parts counter gave him the wrong one. So make sure if you're gonna get a belt, put it on, okay? And then keep your old one as a spare. All right, and I'm telling you all these things because I've seen it over and over again, okay? These are like rookie 101 mistakes right here. So, all right. So we covered fluids, carry them. If you're not sure what you need, do a little research, figure out the actual types that you need, and make sure you've got it. So, you're gonna need at least a .3 brake fluid, all the engine manual, owner's manuals tell you what, engine, transmission, transfer case, gears, all that stuff to carry. Okay? And we talked about the repair hose stuff, and I showed you that little repair kit that I carry. Those are, and by the way, they make those in different sizes. In one of my bags, I've got brass barbed fittings for the smaller hoses like this. So not on a high pressure hose, okay? You can't fix a high pressure hose, but on a regular hose, you can cut through it, say if it's a hot water line or something, and you can push the barbed one in and fix it with a couple of hose clamps. So those are handy too. Next, track bars. Okay, whether you realize it or not, your next weakest link on your vehicle, other than your steering, is your track bar. Okay, your track bar is what keeps, regardless of what you think, your entire axle underneath your vehicle. Okay, these are always overlooked. Everybody I find with problems, death wobble, all this stuff, loose bolts. The bolts on either end are clapped out, wallowed out, not tight. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this, okay? Do yourself a favor, get good bolts, okay? The stuff that comes from the factory is absolute crap. Go buy some good grade 8 or better bolts, put them in. If you can put a bigger bolt in, do it. This is a very important aspect. The other thing is, a lot of the time the one end is welded solid, the other end is adjustable. You got to make sure that adjustable end doesn't get all sloppy and wallowed out. You really need to pay attention to your track bar, okay? Because when you're winching somebody or you're steering into something, your track bar is what's keeping all that force underneath the frame. So it's working really hard, and at a bare minimum, I want you to carry 2 spare bolts, right? One for the top, one for the bottom, and if you have a rear track bar, one of each of those. They're all 4 are different, okay? So make sure you go get those bolts and carry them.
Our friend Thomas Erke wants to know if that hose was for a stock engine.
This one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a stock engine style where you can see it's crimped and it's got all these special bends on it and stuff. The kind of hose that Tom's got, he's got an upgraded aftermarket ram assist type steering with the hoses that you make up. And those hoses are nice because if you do have a problem, you can either just remake a hose on the trail or you can cut it off a little bit like Jeff and I have done before, thread the thing back on and keep going. So by the way, you know what else you'll find in my Jeep spare? A whole set of hoses for my steering, because that is one of those things that when it breaks, you are really screwed. By the way, you want to talk about an expensive trip, run your power steering pump dry because you broke a hose. Now you just bought a power steering pump too. So you just start taping $1,000 bills on that thing. So everything I'm telling you, I cannot impress upon you enough. Pay attention, write it down, and do it. Don't just be like, yeah, Tony told me. Do it, okay? Replay this, watch this over when we're done, and write everything down and make it like a Bible. Yep.
All right, we have the questions coming in. Casey wants to know, what do you recommend for track bar brackets and track bars?
So the factory brackets are way too thin. You need to upgrade those. You need to plate them, reinforce them, cut them off, put better ones on, whatever that looks like. Ours are completely different. We gear ours around high steer and, there's some other stuff. So if you try to go to ours, you just need to be prepared that that's a little bit bigger project. And my guys are happy to help walk you through that if you're ready to go to that level. I can tell you that the bolt on our track bar is 4 times the size of stock. Okay, so again, I cannot impress upon you enough. When I figured this out, this is many years ago, I was pointed this way, winching a guy that was down in this hole who had flipped over, and my winch is pulling my whole vehicle, right? The only thing holding my frame, which is where my winch is mounted, and my axle, which is taking all the force, is my track bar, okay? After that weekend, I went and put in a giant bolt on both ends of that track bar, and that's what we sell today.
Dennis wants to know what we use for fuel lines on LS swaps.
So typically that's a high grade, XRP or, the one from Fragola or Aeromotive, braided type line. They're high pressure, and those are also the make it up yourself kind of AN fittings. So we run all the AN stuff. Things like fuel, you don't want to mess around. You want to make sure you've got high quality on that. So a lot of that's under a lot of pressure, anywhere from 60 to 80 pounds of pressure. So
Rick says, I see a lot of extreme builds with full hydro steering. I like the fact that you guys use hydro assist on your builds. Any particular reason for that?
Great question, man. We're just like setting them up. Okay, yes, there is absolutely a reason for that. So many people see, something like a KOH buggy with full hydraulic and they think, oh, that's got to be the hot setup. It is not, okay? Pay attention. It is not. A standard steering box with a ram assist is more powerful. My old YJ, which we've got around here somewhere, ran 42-inch tires. And with the ram assist, you could park next to a brick wall, turn the wheel, and move the entire vehicle over, okay? So that's with the old ham can style pump, right? It's a matter of getting it right. There's certain companies out there that get it right, and you've got to remember there's a 3-inch diameter piston inside a steering box. Then you've got your 1.5 or 2-inch piston on the ram assist. Guys, the biggest full hydro is like 2.5 inch, right? You're not even close to the amount of strength and power, okay? So even a standard steering box has more power than that. So beside the fact that an orbital, which now drives your full hydraulic, has a little bit of blow-by, right? So it's not, there's no gears that mesh or anything like that. So when you're going straight down the road, you might be like turning a little bit just to keep the thing going straight down the road. Now, when they get really whacked, you're actually driving like this, like you're having to go a lot faster. That means it's worn and it needs service. But with full hydro, you also get no feel. So you just kind of turn and,
There's no mechanical connection.
There's no mechanical connection. It's all hydraulic, and that's why they call it full hydro. And you have no input. With a steering box and ram assist, you still get that feel, and don't give that up, and it's much more powerful. So I know everybody else will tell you a bunch of other crap. They don't know what they're talking about. I live it, eat it, breathe it, and it's what I run on my vehicle. So I can run anything I want, and you won't find full hydro on my Jeep, for sure.
And if it breaks, you back up.
And if I break, that's right. So keep in mind, you break a sector shaft, you're not going to be that guy with the freaking wagon setup on your Jeep. The ram assist, it won't be pretty, but it'll get you off the trail. So it's literally like a redundant built-in backup system. So Alex is laughing because he's seen it out on the trail.
I feel attacked.
We're down. Whoa, we're getting low. Okay. Do we have more questions, Jeff?
Yeah. What do you guys use to mark bolts on the race vehicles? I remember him saying it is a paint marker, but something else. Just cross-check.
Yes.
Butterfly torque seal.
Torque seal. That's what it is. And you can get it from McMaster Car. McMaster Car will deliver anywhere in the freaking U.S. And what it is it comes out in, I want to say, about a 3/32 stream. And it's liquid, but when it dries, it hardens. And when it breaks, you know that the bolt or the nut has moved, and the stuff just won't fall off. I mean, it's good, durable stuff, and it's made for aircraft and special high-end stuff. But torque seal is what you're after. Comes in a bunch of different colors. Pick whatever color you like. We use yellow, so whatever. All right. What else we got? Good? Keep going. Fuses and relays. So many times, this is 4 of them put together, by the way. So many times we see these go bad. We see people mount them upside down. and it's dangling on the wires and they come unplugged. I mean, I've seen some hokey stuff, okay? Get these things attached. Make sure they're, and by the way, if you have a little bank like this, put a fifth one right there. Have it ready to go. Don't have to dig around in some tool bag looking for it. Have it ready to go. So, but carry a spare, okay? And make sure it's a good one. Find a good one. Hella makes a great one. There's some good ones out there. And relays. Make sure you've got the important ones like the fuel pump relay or, some of the big fuses that go in your fuse block. And by the way, those are specialty. Like if you've ever opened that little box under your hood, yeah, you don't just buy those at the auto parts store. So make sure you've got some spares on that stuff. And then of the regular fuses, make sure you know what you have. Do you have the regular style or the mini style? And carry spares. Even for your little stuff, your cigarette lighter or your dome light, whatever might ail you, you'd be amazed when you go on one of these big trips. You got everything plugged in and you're overloading everything. So just be prepared. Okay? Oh, that's it. Okay. So it's time for us to wrap it up. I will stay on for a couple more minutes and just give people a last chance to get in their very last questions. It's been a great tech talk today. I appreciate everybody chiming in and lots of questions. I absolutely, I can't tell you with enough emphasis that this is everything you need to know, have. Just don't be that guy on the trail that's completely ill-prepared and have no idea where it is or how to use it. The one other thing that I did want to watch, I pulled out on purpose, is winch controller. When you get on the trail, get out of your seat when you're airing down your tires and go plug this in, okay? Make sure this is ready to go. The worst thing I see is some guy that's dangling off the side of the cliff that doesn't know where his winch controller is or it's in the back. Oh, which by the way, you gotta be some kind of an acrobat to get it out of the back of his Jeep because he's hanging off the cliff, okay? Don't be that guy. Plug this in. Or I'm just gonna hook a strap up to you and yank you and hope you make it, okay? All right. More questions? Are we done?
Dylan says, I see you have an Odyssey battery in the back.
Yeah.
What do you use to keep them charged when not in use?
We do have some trickle chargers, but Odyssey makes a really nice charger that is specialty made for this type of battery. You can go to their website and find it. It not only maintains the battery, but it will condition the battery. When you clip it on, it does a self-test. It double checks everything, and then it does a full conditioning of it. So when it's done, you know that battery is 100%. I use those in the Terramoto, on the RV. Jamie's got them. Everybody's got them. That is the way to go. Jordan's got them in his race car, for sure. What else we got?
What oil do you run in your Hydro Assist?
Right now, I'm running the AGR. AGR makes a special oil. It's a synthetic. It's non-foaming. It's really kind of the latest and greatest. It's hard to get, I'll be honest, but it is really good stuff. If I can't get that, then I run the genuine Delco. GM Delco, you can get at any Chevrolet or GM dealer. It's like $9 a quart. It's not cheap, but it is the good stuff. It's exactly the same as Swepco. So, yep.
Spare drive lines. Do you just tape the spare U-joint caps on, or is there something better?
No, I tape them on. You could use a hose clamp or something if you wanted something tougher, but electrical tape or duct tape on them is going to be fine. And then I use big hose clamps and I hose clamp those in. On my old YJ, what I did was I hose clamped it underneath the Jeep, right on the sway bar, and on the Terramoto, I do it on the floor in the back seat. So it just depends on where you have room to do that. Terramoto sits so low, I don't have a lot of room under there.
Dylan wants to know if the Odyssey battery charger will bring a battery back from the dead.
So we've got like 10 random batteries around here, and this last week during Christmas to New Year's, I hooked on every one of those batteries that somebody had taken out and went, throw this away, it's junk. Every single one was good. So either that conditioner thing brought them back or people were out of their mind, one of the two. Probably the latter.
Not here.
This is a good one. Craig wants to know if you carry first aid stuff.
I do. Where's our first aid? Oh, right here. So, yeah, we didn't even get to that. You definitely want a first aid kit. You want some jumper cables. And nowadays, we carry one of these jump packs. So let me tell you a story about this. We had an alternator go out. It ran till the battery gave up. We disconnected the battery. We hooked up this little jump box. We restarted the Jeep, and we were able to go like another hour. So yeah, you definitely want something like this. And you know, these are cool because they've also got a built-in light. They'll charge USB stuff. You know, there's a lot of things about one of these that is super handy. This one's from Scotia. And I think we sell these things. Jamie can verify that. Yeah. So these are great items, and they're tiny. You know, this box makes it look big, but it's small. And I forgot to mention that what you see on this fire extinguisher is one of the Scotia quick release fire extinguisher mounts. So you just put the rings on, and then it just slips on and off the mount really nice. So certainly in the event of a fire, you want to be able to get your extinguisher out quickly. And you, by the way, you do want multiple fire extinguishers on your vehicle. I suggest 3. So, all right. Thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate you watching. We will be back next Tuesday. Have a great weekend.